And Ohtani torches one, tosses the bat, and watches it fly.
Tonight, as Schwarber lifts one to deep right field. It's number 300.
Indiana deep left center field. It's back. It is gone. Fernando walks it off. Look at this. Are you kidding me? He is back.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, everyone. My name is Joshua Northcutt, and joining me today is my co-host and the only co-host, Paris Cremeans. Paris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Was that an intentional reference to what's that Jim Carrey movie? Why can't I think of the name of it?
No clue.
Well,
no idea.
the one where he's in a TV show and everyone else knows besides him. I can't think of it. That one.
I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
I'm not a movie guy, despite what we went to school for. Not a movie guy.
Not a big movie guy. That's gonna annoy me so bad. But I'm good.
So-
I'm good. I'm doing good.
Good to hear, buddy. Obviously, like I said, it's just me and Paris today on the Rubber Match Baseball Podcast, where we deliver the final word on everything MLB. There will be no co-host trivia duel because, well, there's nobody to duel. If I were to ask a question, it wouldn't really be fair. So to answer, so there will be none of that. However, what we will have is 3 up, 3 down, leading the show off. Me and Paris both have 3 headlines that have come up over the last 3-4 days. We're going to talk a little bit rubber match spotlight, though there was only technically one rubber match going into today. And then we'll give our predictions on the Grand Slam. Obviously, Paris technically can't give his player of the week, but I mean, technically he could. Somebody has a breakout weekend. You never know what happens. I haven't seen anybody go out and steal the highlights of the player of the week, so we'll never know. But Paris, if you got no complaints or no words, go ahead and lead us off with your first headline in 3 up, 3 down.
Yeah, okay. A Truman Show. The Truman Show was the movie that I was thinking of. That was the movie. First thing I want to touch on is X-Rays came back for Diamondback stud Corbin Carroll, negative. He was hit by a pitch on his left hand. It's just a contusion. It's described as a pain tolerance type thing. So not sure exactly what that means, but he did not play last night against the Blue Jays, and Diamondbacks got drummed. So Diamondbacks currently sitting at 500. Definitely would love to get that guy back as soon as possible. But yeah, that kind of jumped out to me. That definitely nothing overly serious, and he'll be back sooner rather than later.
Well, unfortunately for Carroll, that's what we call the Northcutt jinx. I predicted him to be the player of the week. So as repercussion, something bad has to happen to him. Diamondback fans, I am very sorry. Yeah, I mean, him going to Coors Field this weekend for a 3-game series, or 4-game series, and then the iffiness of the Jays rotation, I thought he was going to have a really good week. So that's and cheating off at ESPN, they do like the hot hitters for the fantasy stats. So the Diamondbacks had a 10 favored left-handed hitters. Corbin Carroll is the best left-handed hitter in the lineup, so that's where I went that way. But talking baseball actually brought up the Diamondbacks a lot, so I figure I'd bring it up here as well. Obviously, as you said, they're sitting around 500, 3 games back currently in the wild card. They're a team that is going to be very interesting to be whether they're buyer or sellers. Obviously, they lost their ace in Burns, and they are set to have a lot of free agents. One that we know very well, Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, who was rumored to be a Red conversation this offseason, Merrill Kelly, solid arm, somebody who could fit in there as a veteran presence come for a team in the race. And then guy who's had a rough start this year, but has that ace stuff, Zac Gallen, all available potentially. The bullpen's been really rough, which was their strength last year. So not sure there's really going to be an arm. Their 2 closers literally have gone down with basically season-ending injuries. Maybe somebody could make a move for Shelby Miller, but I don't think that shakes the boat, as it would say. But the whole Suarez, Naylor, Kelly, and Gallen will be very interesting to watch over the next, let's say, 2 weeks, basically the rest of the month, to see whether the Diamondbacks become buyers, sellers, or we see any of these guys moved before then. As we know, trades are wide open thanks to the Red Sox and Giants.
Yeah. Well, I watched Gallen pitch once this year. I went up to Wrigley, and he was pitching, and they lost. He got shelled first pitch to Corbin Carroll. He smoked it. So he's had a rough season. Still a great guy, but Gino, obviously as a Reds fan, Gino Suarez, man, I would love to see him go somewhere, and maybe if it's a contender, maybe he wins a ring. I would be happy with that.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. It wouldn't hurt my feelings to see him back in a Reds uniform. The corner infield has been very inconsistent. Obviously, we probably could use more of an outfield bat, but let's not act like Suarez doesn't have the power to put one up in the upper deck out there at GABP.
Yeah, definitely seen it a couple times. That's for sure.
Moving on to my headline, Rays have a historic 8-0 comeback. They trailed 8-0 after the second. Taj Bradley gave up 6 earned runs in an inning and a third. And then they score 3 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 4 in the fifth, and 4 in the seventh. 12 unanswered runs to win 12-8 over the Orioles. That is the definition of the season that both Tampa Bay and Baltimore are having. Tampa Bay just continues to find ways to win, and Baltimore just can't get the ball to bounce their way.
Yeah. I don't know who's having the more disappointing season, if it's Baltimore or the Braves, but I don't know what's happening with Baltimore. It made me sad a little bit. Like when I saw him jump out to 8-0, I saw a tweet and I was excited and I stopped paying attention. And then the tweet comes through to tie the game, the homer, and it was like I couldn't believe it. And then to come back from 8-0 and to drum them for 4 runs. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, 12 unanswered was I think the most crazy part about it, because you would think you score 8. By the way, in one inning they put up 8. You would think you'd find a way to score another run or two. Nope, shut out the rest of the game and giving up 12.
That's just crazy, man. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm just looking at what's their record right now? 31-42.
Yeah, that's another team that's going to be trading some of those players that we look forward to next month, and we'll talk more about. Baseball Today obviously brought up the names Cedric Mullins. Ryan O'Hearn is somebody we all have talked about previously on this podcast that we would love to see in first base / right field / DH for the Reds. Mm-hmm. It's going to be an interesting team, but they've got to get pitching. And I just know a team that kind of has some surplus of pitching. Just saying.
Yeah. I would definitely, and hey, we've talked about it. I would be all right with that specific unnamed team trading a major league arm as opposed to a prospect, because maybe they have a prospect that you would feel good about in that rotation. So, options, things to think about.
All right, moving on to your second headline.
Yeah, so I will not sit here and pretend like I have followed the MLB Combine particularly closely, but something that did jump out to me as I was going through headlines this week was Brandon Compton, 46th overall projected prospect out of ASU, Arizona State University. He is a outfielder. Is that what it was? That we read it? Outfielder, lefty. But the real big thing is his exit velos at his workout. 116.9, 116.6, 116.4. Hitting the cover off the ball. Guy's a lunatic. Quote here was, he was responsible for the top 3 and 5 of the top 7 exit velocities ever recorded at the Combine since its inception in 2021. So not like a huge, range to pull from. Yeah. But my God, I mean,
all I heard is outfielder hitting the cover off the ball and around the 46 mark. And forgive me, guys. Look, we're from Cincinnati, so we're going to have a little bit of bias. But I'm just going to take a look at Paris. Pick 51, Cincinnati Reds. What do we need? Power hitting outfielders. Please, yes, somehow,
Yes.
some way, get that kid in Cincinnati. But this draft class is really interesting. I know you say you don't follow it much, but last year we obviously fell in love with a few guys. One we're going to talk about a little bit later on.
That's
But
right.
man, how in the hell is there another Holiday kid possibly going number 1 overall?
I don't know. And the reports are that he might be better than his brother, maybe. I mean,
That's
they
insane.
always say that, but I mean, my God, dude, that's crazy.
And then the one that I'm really looking forward to following is these left-handed pitchers that are sitting there. Cade Anderson, who's still going for the LSU Tigers right now in the College World Series. They will take on Coastal Carolina, their 26-game win streak. Me and you talked about it before we got on air. I'm telling everyone, if you're not watching at least one of those games this weekend, either the I think it's a Saturday-Sunday matchup, you're insane. These are the best pitching staffs in all college baseball. They're stud players, and it's the big dog, the top team. Everybody knows LSU versus, honestly, the little giants of Coastal Carolina. They won a World Series back in 2016. People joked that it was a fluke, but it's not a fluke anymore. They have built something there. Also, to keep an eye on the left-handed pitcher, Jamie Arnold out of Florida State, and then the left-handed pitcher from Tennessee, Liam Doyle. Pending which prospect search you look up, it'll decide who's the number 1 collegiate pitcher. But I'll tell you right now, from what I've seen, it is either Jamie Arnold or Cade Anderson, and my lean is actually Jamie Arnold from Florida State. Hard-throwing lefty, and he has got some stuff. He saved Florida State's season versus Oregon State in the College World Series, but eventually ended up falling to them. But those are just some lefties to keep an eye on pitching-wise. Obviously, nobody ever gets a jump way ahead. I believe our Reds have picked 10, and they're really kind of just hoping for someone to fall to them. That's kind of the cutoff line. I know a lot of talk is Seth Hernandez, the number 2 overall pick on MLB prospects, but he's a high schooler, so he's a pitcher, and he's going to take longer to get there. Please don't do that. Give me a bat that can get up here. I'm watching Nick Kurtz and I'm watching Jac Cags just hit bombs. And all I'm thinking is, can I please get an outfield bat somehow? Please.
Yes. And we have the person that we drafted in that draft class just sitting, making AAA batters look a little bit silly. So
I'm gonna say, I don't know if you just saw, he just struck out 7 2 nights ago.
I mean,
1 run, I think, over 7 innings. But meanwhile, you know what? We're going to talk about him next. If you have nothing else about the combine or the draft.
No, other than the Reds are the 9th overall pick, but still same range. So but that's all.
Yeah. Well, speaking of our Reds, I'm sorry, I'm biased. I'm going to put the headline out there. Broy, they've gotten hot. They've won 4 straight series. They're a half a game behind the Cardinals. Technically 1 game now behind the Brewers for the last wild card spot. Things are figuring out. They beat the Diamondbacks. They beat the Guardians. They beat the Tigers, and they beat the Twins in series. When we came into June, we were talking like this month is either going to make or break, and it seems like it's making this team. They're having fun. They're energetic, and don't look now. Lance McAllister posted it yesterday. Matt McClain is back.
He is.
At the time he posted, he had a 5-game hit streak. He's now up to a 7-game hit streak. He's hitting over 300 with a 410 OBS, 485 slugging percentage, 2 home runs, 5 walks, 6 RBI, 7 runs. Mind you, this was posted on the 18th. I don't got the stats for the last 2 games, but still, that dude is the heart of this team. Everybody talks about Ellie, and don't get me wrong, but I think you were the one pounding the desk, Paris, about like Matty McClain is the most important part of this organization right now and its future.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you can see the like weight lifted off of his shoulders, you know, after when he was kind of really hot to start the year, those first couple series, and then things started to slip away from him. I think you could just see him pressing at the plate. But last night I was watching that game, and there was a weak dribbler to first base, and Matt made a really nice play on it, charged it, flipped it to Spencer Steer. And it was like, I mean, he was like a little kid playing Little League. Like he was like having so much fun. And you could tell that. Like, think about in 2023 when they were doing so well. You had that like game where they threw the bubble gum on Matt's head, and they were, like those are the things that made that team so fun to watch then, and I think should translate now. You didn't have a lot of that last year, so obviously the unquantifiable parts of baseball are like hard to quantify. But I do think them having fun has been kind of a major contributor to the success. Also, hitting the ball.
Yeah, hitting is nice, but the one thing I do want to bring up, because it was a conversation due to today, Nick Martinez got shelled again.
Yep.
And now his last 7 games, he's 3-4 with an ERA of 4.93. He's struck out 25 batters, a WHIP of 1.25. Not great. Mind you, we know Great American Ballpark that's going to spike things.
Yeah.
But when I think Nick Martinez last year, he did better coming out of the bullpen or kind of just being that guy who would get 2-3 starts. Now, I know it's a little difficult right now because Green is on the IL, but I can't help but just – and I hate to bring it up again, and I know in the comments they're probably going to be like, here we go again. But Burns, like what are we doing? Like, we're just wasting innings down there in AAA. By the end of this month, if you're in it and Martinez is still doing what he's doing, Burns needs to be in that rotation.
I agree. Or at least, like, if you're not going to send him to the pen, just put him on a phantom IL stint, just like a 15-day, just nothing crazy, and just kind of shelve him a little bit, and then you let Burns take that spot and try it out, and then maybe Burns gets shelled at the major league level. I don't think that would happen, but then you kind of protect yourself a little bit. And
if he gets shelled, we'll all shut up. All right, we will shut up and we'll be like, okay, we need more innings on there. But what I'm watching him do in the minor leagues, it's an ERA under 2. He's striking out everyone. He had that rough first outing in AAA, and he's like, oh no, I know how to figure this out.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's right. Well, I'm sure that was just adrenaline, like I'm sure that's all it was. And it reminds me of, not that they're the same pitcher. I'm not comparing them. I'm comparing their AAA appearances. The way Paul Skeens pitched in his AAA, the way he pitched in AAA was like, I mean, this guy's a major league player playing AAA players.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
He's just wasting bullets down there.
And that's the thing that scares me. Knock on wood. I don't want to say it, but like it's 2025. There's limited innings and young arms before things go wrong. Like, we've seen it with Rhett Lauder. Like, it's very unfortunate that we haven't got to see him this year, because he was a part of the rotation that we all were looking forward to see grow and form into a potential star, which I thought he would be like what Andrew Abbott is this year. So enough of the Reds talk. Let's move on to the third headline. Who's your third headline?
So I wanted to talk. We touched on a little bit earlier when we were talking about draft talk, but Jac Cags hits his first career home run against the Rangers. I believe they were playing today,
Yes.
And it was a moonshot. But fun tidbit of information: he hits his second career home run in the same game, like an hour later. So. Good for him. We were just talking about Chase Burns, and that's what we were saying, is that it's kind of hard to watch Nick Kurtz and Jac Cags kind of like be in the majors and perform well, and then our pick from the same draft gets wasted. But it is still fun to watch prospects that you believed in, that you felt like in their college career that would translate to it actually translating in such a short amount of time relative to major league success. So good for him. I mean, right now in the season, not that it's a huge sample size, batting .218, 2 homers, 4 ribbies, and 12 hits. He's only age 22. He's younger than I am. Oh my God.
Yeah, and the dudes in the bigs. I did want to just take a look to make sure we weren't getting near, and good to know. Currently, right now, Charlie Condon is still sitting down in like A+. So we don't have to worry about him getting called up because if all three would be up there, Paris, me and you would lose our minds.
I mean, that would hurt. That would really sting. That would really. He's still in high A or
Yeah.
A plus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but as you mentioned, like a little bit of rough start, but you get the momentum today in Texas. You hit 2 bombs, and like you mentioned, they were shots 106 and 110 off the bat, 387, 439 feet. They were no doubters. So very quickly, that 218 batting average can easily turn into a high 260, 270 if you just get rolling, which the Royals are in desperate need of because they have the second least amount of home runs in all of baseball.
Yeah. And, it did kind of bum me out when you learn that they're not planning on making him a two-way player, so he's not pitching in the major leagues. Bum me out just because, it's such a unicorn kind of thing. But I think they made the right call.
Oh, yeah. They're a contender and they need that bat, and that's what they're now getting. Last headline, kind of a quick one. We don't have to talk too much about it, but Braves said a 0% chance of trading Christopher Sale, despite being 6 games under 500, 11 games back in the Mets, and 5.5 out of the wild card. Paris. He is by far the most valuable player on that team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not consider trading him? And now, mind you, it's June 19th. A month from now, it could change. But you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a negotiation tactic. Like the offers we're getting right now are not good enough to move him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're thinking that Acuna being back is gonna be the difference for him. I don't know. That doesn't really make any sense to me. What do you think a return for him would be theoretically? Like how much are they really going to get back for him?
I think the way he's been pitching lately, you're gonna get at least a year away type prospect, like a Rhett Lauder type level guy. I would assume if you want a pitcher go that route. But then there's talks of them potentially moving on from Austin Riley, who's one of their best players on the team at third base. Like if we're going to blow up the lineup part of it, why aren't you blowing up the pitching part of it, especially for an aging Chris Sale?
Yes, 36. I just looked that up. He is 36. And then how long? Do you know what his contract's like? Like, do you know how long he's?
Not off the top of my head, unfortunately. I think it's only a 1-year deal, though. He signed a 2-year deal, and yes, he has a club option next year. So basically, like, I guess they're saying they'll bring him back next year, but that I don't. There's no way there's that many innings left in that arm that if you can't get a Rhett Lauder type prospect or like a Rhett and Edwin Arroyo kind of thing, you don't consider it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm pulling the trigger on that all day if I'm the Braves. But it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But season stats: 5-4, 2.52 ERA, 1.16 WHIP. Pretty good.
Yeah, he's still good. He's still good.
He's still good. Yeah.
Moving on, though, we're going to talk a little bit rubber match spotlight. Just talk about this week. As I mentioned, only technically one rubber match was out there as of our broadcast. That was Boston and Seattle, which I know Paris is going to mention. The Reds took 2 of 3 from Minnesota, taking the first 2 games. The Cubs and Milwaukee had their game postponed yesterday. They split the series 1-1. Paris mentioned Kansas City swept the Rangers after the Rangers went 5-1 last week, and they were one of our topics on Monday. Not so much now. Toronto took the first 2 games in versus Arizona. Cleveland took the first 2 games versus San Francisco, and when we got on here, we're still leading. St. Louis took the first 2 games. Will play or started today at 5:45. Detroit took the first 2 games. And then Atlanta took the first 2 games of their series with the Mets. Maybe that's where they're buying in. Hey, we beat the Mets. We can compete again. But I still don't know full about that. That game's about to just start as we're recording on Thursday night. But as I mentioned, Paris, you wanted to talk Boston, Seattle, which was my rubber match pick of the week and Grand Slam pick of the week. Great. Problem was I had Seattle, not Boston.
Ooh, yeah. Just quick recap of that Boston Mariners season, which is a great series. So the Red Sox took Game 1, beat the Mariners 2-0, and then Game 2, Mariners took that one. They blanked the Red Sox 8-0. Whew. And then the Red Sox took the rubber match, beating the Mariners 3-1.
Pitcher duel between Crochet and Castillo in that one.
Yes, which is funny you would mention that. We'll get to Garrett Crochet's performance a little bit later. That's my maybe pick, maybe possibly potentially for this series. But yeah, really fun series. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on it?
I'm surprised. Boston found a way to beat Seattle, and I hate to keep bringing up another podcast, but it's one of the best in baseball. But they were talking about you go back and you talk this Devers trade. Mm-hmm. How was Seattle not in that conversation
as a destination?
Yeah, you talk about a team put Devers and the Big Dumper back to back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, goodbye.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's threatening for sure.
Yeah, so the fact that they didn't, but the fact Boston was able to win this series, which is a big one, not looking ahead to the weekend, which is going to be the series I want to talk about, San Francisco, Boston. But it was nicely done. And as you mentioned, the pitcher's duel, or I mentioned the pitcher's duel and the decider between Crochet and Castillo. Phenomenal. Just Castillo can't get run support. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. We know a little something about that, don't we? Garrett Crochet, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 8 Ks. I did want to bring up, because he is my rubber match player, the most important player in that series for me. The honor mention, Greg Weissert getting the save for Boston in that rubber match in that Game 3. Pretty huge in a 2-run game. So, honorable mention for him.
Yeah, no doubt about that. As I mentioned, it was the only rubber match, and since you picked it, I couldn't really pick it. So I was just going to bring up a random thing, and it was that PCA is now the youngest player ever to do 2020. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people are talking Ohtani. A lot of Reds fans are comparing Ellie and PCA stats, and I do get it. I mean, they're kind of comparable, especially now that Ellie got hot over the last week and a half. But what PCA is doing is very impressive, because when they traded for him, everybody was kind of iffy about it because he was part of that Javi Baez deal, and it's worked out very well now with PCA and what left of Kyle Tucker they're going to have in Chicago before he probably goes sign somewhere else, either on the East Coast or West Coast, because I doubt he's going to go be a Cub.
Yeah, I'd be surprised by that too. But he is. I mean, he was in the MVP conversation, which is unbelievable. He won't win it. I say that, knock on wood, for me, but really impressive. I think he had a homer at that game when I was at Wrigley too, if I'm not mistaken, or at least an RBI. But
there's a good chance he's got 20 of them. So
take your pick, right? Geez,
probably had a small base too.
Probably. Yeah, it's likely.
Yeah, and then just one more thing I wanted to talk about today. So the Pirates and Tigers are playing in a series.
Yes.
And they played a doubleheader today. Skubal started Game 1.
Yeah.
Skeens starts Game 2.
Yeah.
How does somebody from New York not pick up the phone and just go, no, you're going to put the two of them against each other at 6:00 at night on Thursday? We're going to pick it up on MLB Network. Skubal, Skeens, arguably the two best pitchers in baseball, could have got the matchup. No, we're just gonna poke the bear. And what's wrong with baseball? That's what's wrong with baseball. They don't get that. Dude, I would have been sitting here hey, we might have to call timeout on the podcast. I gotta watch the matchup.
No, I 100% agree. I think. Not to get too insanely philosophical, but I do think that's one of the major problems with Major League Baseball is its marketing, especially of its stars. That is guaranteed. That would be a flexed in a primetime kind of thing for the NFL, And when you watch NFL marketing, or you watch commercials for the AFC Championship game. It's like uh it's Allen, Mahomes, it's those guys. Those guys aren't playing each other. That's two quarterbacks. They aren't taking the field at the same time. But that's how you market your stars. And so, yeah, that's an insanely missed opportunity.
Yeah, and just to keep you updated, as of right now, again, we're recording Thursday. You may be listening Friday morning. Paul Skeens currently is 3 1/3, 1 hit, 2 walks, 5 Ks, now lowering his ERA on the year to 1.72. Paul Skeens is good, my friend. Paul Skeens is so darn good. It's insane. It really is insane with how young he is. And just think the Reds could possibly have another one of those just waiting down there
Sitting
in
down
AAA, just fine. And if you're curious, by the way, what Scooble did, he picked up the win. His ERA is now 2.06 on the year. He went 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs, and struck out 6. It's not the greatest start in the world, but got the win, and that's all that matters for a team who's trying to get into the playoff ones.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It kind of surprised me that the Pirates lineup scored 2 runs off of them, to be honest with you.
But yeah, that's 2 more. I mean, they scored 6 runs today, and that's more than they were scoring like ever for especially Skeens. You give 4 runs for Skeens, you're going to win.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and move on and look ahead to this weekend. I know we were going to talk about that third segment and maybe talk about trades or not, but we kind of went a little bit long. So we'll just preview this weekend. 3 matchups we've got circled. I'm going to bring up the one that Blake brought up, and I'll ask you. Detroit and Tampa Bay play this weekend. Kind of a fun one. As I mentioned, Tampa Bay keeps finding ways to win. Detroit, one of the best teams in the AL. On Friday, you got Flaherty and Baz. On Saturday, you got Gibson Long versus Pepio. And then on Sunday, you got Mize and Lytle, if that helps you decide. Which one of those teams are you going to take?
I'm going to go with the Rays. I think Scooble's obviously not pitching that series, so it's not that they can't win without him, but I do think that dings them a little bit. And I think the Rays, absolutely red hot. I mean, that win is kind of enough to propel a team a little bit, you know. So yeah, I would have to say the Rays. Who are their probable pitchers again? Say those names.
As Pepio and Little. So I mean, it's arguably their aces.
Yeah.
And as we talked about off air, the Yankees continue to lose. The Rays are now only 2 back of the Yankees for AL East. I don't get how they do it, man. They're the definition of perfection of small ball and like small market baseball.
Yes. And it's fun. Like that's fun to me. You know, like that's fun to watch them actually have success, especially against like, you know, the Yankees. Yeah, they are. Wow, look at that. 2 games back. Good for them. There's 7 for their last 10. 7 wins in the last 10 games played. So yeah.
And it's even a more impressive stat. Like MLB posts their like Facebook post, and like every day it's like their stats just get better and better over like the last 15 games and the last 20 games. It's been really, really good like the last month for the Rays. But go ahead, Paris, and let us know that who you got.
So I am going with the Mets at the Phillies. I'm going to take the Phillies to win it without Harper. There was like some article that I read where he said that he's going to try to will the team with his determination to win or something like that, which is like
sounds like some Aaron Rodgers type stuff there. I don't need that in my life.
What are we talking about? But I do believe in the Phillies. Mets, obviously, I think we touched on a little bit earlier. Sliding, not a fun time in New York on really either side of the city. So I'm going to take the Phillies to win it, but I do think the Mets probably give them a little bit of run for their money and push it to a rubber match.
Yeah, that will be Sunday Night Baseball too, which will be very nice. And if it does go to the rubber match, I also like Philly just because I got to stick with Luzardo. I hyped him up in the beginning of the month. He had a little rough 2 outings, but he got it straightened out last time facing that Mets lineup. But no joke, you get Wheeler tomorrow. That should be a win. And then the Mets get Canning, who we've talked about is one of the best pitchers, so that looks like maybe favored the Mets. And then you get Peterson versus Zardo. It's a nice pitching matchup for Sunday Night Baseball. I might just have to tune in.
Yeah, but I'm taking the Phils for sure.
And then for me, to talk about the weekend, I know I mentioned San Francisco, Boston. I don't think that's going to be a rubber match, just because I think San Francisco is going to make, and by San Francisco, I mean Devers is going to make Boston pay. I'm not kidding when I say this. I'm betting him to hit a home run every single day. He is going to put the ball in McCovey Cove every single day. That ball is going to fly. It's just going to keep going and going and going. So that's where my mindset is. However, the matchup that I'm looking forward to is Seattle and the Cubs. Seattle has Kirby going on Friday versus Boyd, Hancock versus Horton, and then their ace Gilbert versus Ray. Cubs kind of iffy on the pitching. I'll agree on that. But I feel like their run support is just so darn good that they'll probably get to Hancock on Saturday and turn it into a rubber match. However, I'll take Seattle and the better pitcher to pull out the rubber match with Gilbert on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with you. I looked at that series too. I was going to make that my series, but they were my pick. Cubs like upcoming series last week, and I didn't want to do them 2 weeks in a row. So, but they are just such a fun offense to watch that. Yeah, the pitching, especially as of late, hasn't been there, but they're so fun to watch. I'll go with them, the Cubs to take it, and I do think it probably goes to a rubber match as well.
All righty. Well, if you don't have anything, I was just going to bring up, what is your thoughts on the Devers deal? You're the only one we haven't heard from just yet. Obviously, more news has come out about how, according to the clubhouse, Devers was not being a good teammate, to the point calling out Kristen Campbell, who was agreeing to play first base, and Devers basically thought he was big leaguing him and trying to hurt his name and stature. And then Manny Ramirez comes out and yells at Boston for doing what he did. But ironically enough, Boston kind of did the same thing to Manny when Manny was being Manny, and all the craziness when it wasn't working and winning. So just interested to hear your thoughts on the Devers deal before we wrap things up.
I've seen a lot of people the thing that's so interesting to me about it is the perception to the outside world of the trade, in terms of, I know people that aren't baseball fans that have compared it. Like, I've seen a comparison to Luka in his trade with the Lakers. I don't feel that way, if I can be honest with you. I mean, I don't know if Devers was really going to be able to play third base for an extended time, especially maybe throughout the life of that contract, that massive contract he signed. The return wasn't like crazy at all.
And that's my issue still, is just the return. Like I said, Seattle's got prospects you could have went after. I know you don't want to trade them probably anywhere in the AL, especially to New York, but I was like, the Yankees would have killed for a third baseman. I literally just look up and down, like, even the NL. I don't know, just the fact that, like, Kyle Harrison and Jordan Hicks are the only two that are going to help you this year. Yeah. And they sent Kyle Harrison already down to the minors. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I guess the closest comparison to, people keep comparing it to Luka, is probably because of the return that you get.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Davis isn't really the same level. I guess it worked for them because they get Cooper Flag, but this is a baseball podcast. But it definitely, I don't know if it's to that extent, just because I don't think Devers is to that caliber of player, not to discard him, but it was a head scratcher when I saw the return. That's for sure. Time will tell, but I'm going to say the Giants probably won it if you're looking at winners and losers.
Yeah, and just to wrap up the thoughts, I will mention, though, obviously the Red Sox took 2 or 3. They have a chance to make a statement, beat the Giants this weekend, shut Devers out. But can you imagine if my prediction's right and Devers goes bomb all 3 days? That GM come Monday morning with the Boston media, good luck, pal.
Yeah. I don't think people in Boston have been too happy about it, particularly. But yeah, that's scary. That's scary.
All right. Well, just wrapping things up. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your Grand Slam pick'ems. We'd love to hear your takes. Prefer to just listen. Instead, you can hear us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all thanks to rss.com. And don't forget, we're on all major media platforms now. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter X by just searching at CX Pod Network. Finally, make sure you check out all our shows on CX Podcast Network. There's the Restricted Area Podcast. They're going to be wrapping up talking NBA Finals. Hopefully it goes to Game 7 for our buddy Colton's sake. But if Hallie's really that questionable, I think it's over in 6. But there will be obviously the NBA Draft coming up, and they also have you all covered in the WNBA. There's not somebody who I'd rather listen and follow when it comes to WNBA news more than Alex Perez. You can also find his work at twsn.com or net. He does a lot of writing for WNBA. The North Bench Warriors podcast featuring a new interview with this week with Rick Broering. I will be getting that out. I've just been in Mexico. I've been working since I came back. I've been taking care of 3 little girls and helping with that. But I will be getting the Rick Broering interview out either this weekend or first thing Monday morning. And last but not least, the NASCAR Slide Job podcast, hosted by Colton Smith and co-host Bull or Ben pending the show, along with myself, where we just obviously talk all things NASCAR. It was a exciting Mexico City race where me and Bull wanted to kill Ben, and if we could have reached through our screens, we definitely would have. But they're going more to Pocono this weekend, so we're figuring that stuff out. But Paris, if you've got nothing, I'm going to go ahead and just sign us off.
Yeah, sounds good. You got a nice tan from your vacation. Good for you. But that's it. That's all I've got.
Yeah, the fresh shave wasn't too bad either. Once I got it, I was a little worried it was going to be because I had a hat on most of the time.
Yeah.
It was thin up there. So, but again, thank you all for tuning in to the rubber match, and be sure to join us next time as we'll be back to recap what goes down this weekend. And I know for a fact on Monday we'll be talking Giants and Red Sox. And you can find me in Paris next week also. Hopefully next Thursday we'll do the podcast, and it'll be available Friday morning. So until next time, peace.